It started on a Tuesday. The kind of gray, unremarkable day that usually slips by unnoticed. Except she was there. Lena. Mid-40s, maybe? Sharp eyes, deep brown. Hair pinned up like it wasn't meant to look perfect, but still did. She stood behind the front desk at the art center, thumbing through a stack of attendance forms with this quiet, practiced grace. I'd signed up for the figure sketching class. Not because I needed it, but because I'd heard she was teaching again. She didn't look at me right away. She never did. Her voice came first. "You're late," she murmured without glancing up. Soft. Even. But underneath, something taut. Like she was holding herself in place. "I know," I said, not trying to excuse it. I just watched her. The slope of her shoulder. The way one strand of hair slipped loose at her temple. Her perfume was something dry and clean, not sweet, like cedar or fresh paper. Finally, she looked at me. And held it. That glance? Too long for polite. Too short for enough. "Micah, right?" she asked. I nodded. "Yeah." She said my name like it was unfamiliar, but something in the way her eyes settled on my face told me she'd remembered. Later, after class, I stayed behind. Not on purpose. I told myself I was just cleaning up. Folding stools, stacking charcoal pads. But she was still in the room, so I was too. She reached past me to unplug a lamp. Her hand brushed mine, just briefly, and I froze. Not because it startled me, but because it didn't feel accidental. Her fingers lingered. Just barely. But enough. "I shouldn't let you stay late," she said, not looking at me. She was close. Her breath stirred the air near my collar. I swallowed. "Then why do you?" She didn't answer. Just looked at the lamp in her hand, then back at me, and something flickered there. Not a smile. Not exactly. But softer than before. She didn't ignore me outright. She was too composed for that. But her glances were shorter. Her instructions clipped. She walked around my easel like I wasn't there, even though I could feel her body heat when she passed behind me. I told myself it didn't matter. But I started showing up earlier. Sitting closer to the front. Watching the way she ran her fingers along the edge of the table when she was thinking. I sketched her posture instead of the model's half the time. She noticed. The third class after our almost moment, I stayed behind again. This time, I didn't pretend to clean. "You're not very subtle, you know," she said as she gathered her bag. Her tone was dry, but I caught the ghost of a smile. "I wasn't trying to be." She looked up. Paused. Then, "You should be." We stood in the half-lit studio again, the hum of the overhead lights louder than the silence between us. "I've seen your sketches," she said, slower now. "You don't draw like a 26-year-old. I shrugged. "I don't think in years." "That's a privilege," she said. There was no malice in it. Just quiet, tired honesty. She sat down on the edge of the table, resting one ankle over the other. Her blouse slid slightly at the collar, revealing the line of her throat. My eyes followed it before I could stop them. She noticed that, too. "I was married once," she said, not looking at me. 15 years. He was steady. Kind. Boring. A breathy laugh. "We divorced when our daughter was in high school. She's in college now. Wants to study psychology. Probably thinks I'm the reason she needs it." That last line wasn't meant to be funny. She looked away. "I haven't been touched by someone who wanted me, just me, in a long time," she said quietly. "Not out of habit. Not out of guilt." Her voice cracked, then flattened. "And now here you are. Young enough to make me feel stupid for liking the way you look at me." I stepped closer. She didn't move. "You're wrong," I said. "I don't just look at you." She turned her head. Eyes finding mine. I reached out, slowly, and brushed a bit of charcoal dust from her shoulder. My fingers lingered there, just the pad of my thumb against the slope where her neck met her collar. She didn't flinch. Her breath caught. Subtle. barely audible. But I heard it. You scare me, she said finally. Why? Because I believe you. Her hand came up, hesitated, then rested gently on my chest. Not pulling me closer. Not pushing me away. Just staying there. Feeling the way my heart betrayed me. We stood like that for a long moment. Neither of us speaking. Then the hallway light flickered off automatically. Motion sensors. No one had moved in too long. She didn't laugh. Neither did I. But when she finally dropped her hand, it was slower than it needed to be. And when she left the room, she left her scarf behind. When she stepped in, she paused in the doorway like she wasn't sure she should be here. Then her eyes found me. And stayed there. You left this, I said, holding the scarf out in both hands like it meant more than it did. Maybe it did. She stepped forward slowly, took it from me, her fingers brushing mine again, deliberate but distant. Like she wanted contact, just not the consequence of it. I told myself I'd pretend I didn't notice it was missing, she said. I watched her hands. How tightly she twisted the fabric now. Nervous habit, maybe? Or regret? Or both? You always this composed? I asked. She exhaled through her nose, half smiling. I used to be. A silence fell, and stretched. Too long. Too loaded. The lights overhead hummed. One flickered. Her perfume hit me again, and my throat tightened. You shouldn't. She started. I know. She looked up sharply. Then why? I don't know, I said and meant it. A beat. 2. We stood there, shoulder to shoulder, breath to breath. Then her voice dropped. You're young. You'll change your mind. Then let me be wrong, I said. But let me try. The scarf slipped from her fingers, landing in soft folds on the studio table between us. Neither of us reached for it. You don't know what people will think, she said, quiet now. I don't care. Well, I do. That stopped me. Her voice had a crack in it again, not fragile, but raw. And I realized this wasn't about shame. It was about being seen in a way she didn't trust anymore. You think this is just... She gestured between us vaguely. Novelty. Fantasy. I don't, I said. But maybe you do. She turned away then, jaw tight. Hands on the edge of the table. Her posture stiff, shoulders sharp under her blouse. I stepped behind her. Not touching, just near. Close enough to feel her warmth in the space between us. Close enough that my breath stirred her hair. You don't scare me, I said, barely audible. I want you, not despite who you are, but because of it. She didn't speak. Then her head dropped slightly. And she turned. Our faces were inches apart. Her lips parted, just a breath, just a second, and my hand moved to her waist, just lightly, just there. And then a knock. Fast. Too loud. The door creaked open. Lena? A voice called. A woman's. Friendly. Familiar. You in here? Lena blinked. Straightened. I stepped back fast, too fast. The loss of her warmth felt like cold air rushing in. She didn't turn to me as she answered, steady but distant. Just getting some materials. But as she passed by me to leave, her hand grazed mine again, not by accident. This time she squeezed. Just once. And let go. She was waiting by the window when I walked past the staff lounge that night. I almost didn't see her. The light was low, golden, warm against the dark fall outside. She didn't call my name. She just looked at me. And that was enough. I stepped in, closed the door behind me without thinking, like I'd been walking toward her this whole time. No one else was around. Lena. She didn't answer right away. Just stared out the glass. Then, my ex-husband showed up yesterday. Said he heard I was seeing someone. I froze. What did you say? She laughed softly, bitter at the edges. That he shouldn't believe gossip. I stepped closer. Is it? Her silence said more than any answer could. I was close enough now to see her reflection, the tension in her mouth, the heat behind her eyes. "This is dangerous," she whispered. "You've said that before. And you're still here. So are you." She turned then, slowly, and the space between us shrank to nothing. Her eyes scanned my face, stopping at my mouth, then back up. "You don't know what you're doing to me." I swallowed. "I know exactly." She didn't pull back when I reached up and brushed her hair behind her ear. Her cheek was warm beneath my fingers, soft. She leaned into it, just slightly, like she was tired of resisting. "I can't stop thinking about you," I said. "Every time you walk past me like I'm invisible, I feel it anyway. Every look you don't give me burns more than the ones you do." She inhaled sharply. "Micah, I dream about your voice. About the sound of your heels in the hallway. About what it would feel like if you let go, just once." I stepped closer. My hand slid to her jaw. She didn't move. "You think this is just attraction," I murmured, voice low near her ear. "But it's not. It's every inch of you I want, every quiet thing you hide, every scar you don't show." She pressed her forehead to mine, eyes closed. Her breath hitched. Then her hands rose, tentative, resting flat against my chest. "I hate that you make me feel alive again," she whispered. "Because I forgot what that felt like." My thumb brushed her bottom lip. Her breath trembled against my skin. Her body leaned closer, almost resting into mine. My lips hovered over hers. A single inch. Half an inch. "I want to kiss you," I said. "Then do it," she whispered. And just as I tilted forward, the door handle turned. Both of us froze. A voice from the hallway. "Lena? Lights are going off in 5. A beat. 2. She stepped back like the air between us had turned electric. Not fear. Not rejection. Just, not yet. Her voice was steady when she answered, but her eyes stayed locked on mine. "I'll be out in a minute." And then she looked at me. Really looked. "I want this," she said. Then she turned and left. Without a kiss. Without a touch. But with everything hanging on the edge. She didn't come to class the next day. No call. No email. Nothing. Just a note taped to the easel in the front of the room, written in her tight, careful handwriting. "Today's session is cancelled due to unforeseen circumstances. We'll resume next week. L." I stood in the studio long after the others left. Unspoken words buzzed in my chest like a trapped bee. Then my phone lit up. Unknown number. "She's married." Or at least she was. You should ask her how recent the divorce really was. I read it twice. 3 times. And felt my jaw tighten. That night, I went to her office. Door locked. Lights off. But I knew she'd be there. I don't know how, I just did. I waited in the hallway. For 23 minutes. She showed up just after 7, carrying a bag and looking like she hadn't slept. When she saw me, she stopped mid-step. Eyes wide. Shoulders up. Defense already in place. "You shouldn't be here," she said. "You lied to me," I replied, voice low. "Or you left something out. Which feels the same right now." She sighed. Slow. Controlled. Then unlocked her door and walked past me without inviting me in. I followed anyway. "I got a text," I said, leaning against the wall. "Anonymous number. Said you're not actually divorced." She dropped her bag hard onto her desk. "That's not true," she said. "Not anymore." I didn't move. "What does that mean?" She turned, and her face cracked for just a second. Not in anger. In something closer to shame. "The papers were filed 6 months ago," she said. "But the official decree came through last week." Silence. Just the ticking of the wall clock. Just the hum of fluorescent light. "You told me. I didn't want it to matter," she cut in. Her voice shook now. "You already look at me like I'm breakable. If you knew I was just ending something, just..." I stepped forward. You were still married when what? She snapped. When we almost kissed? When we stood too close? I stopped. The hurt in her voice hit harder than the words. I didn't sleep with you, Micah, she said softer now. I didn't use you. No, I said. But you hid from me. That's worse. We stood close again. Close enough to feel the heat between us, thick and humming. But now it was laced with something darker. Guilt. Fear. Need. Her hands trembled as she reached for the edge of her desk, steadying herself. I've ruined good things before, she whispered. I stepped in. My hand brushed her hip, not to pull her closer, but just to feel that she was real. She didn't stop me. You didn't ruin this, I said. Not yet. Her eyes flicked up, wide and wet and furious at herself. Then, suddenly, she kissed me. Once. Hard. Certain. And then she pulled back, breath shallow, lips parted, fingers still caught in the front of my shirt. I can't take it back, she said. I didn't let her go. The room felt too small. Or maybe we were just too close. The kiss still lingered between us, not just on my lips but in every inch of air. Her fingers were still clenched in my shirt, like she hadn't decided whether to hold on or push me away. Outside, rain tapped softly against the windowpane. Slow. Constant. Like time was stalling just long enough for us to ruin or save something. I shouldn't have done that, she whispered. But her hands didn't move. And neither did I. Then why did you? Her breath hitched. I felt it, not heard it, the way her chest rose, shallow and quick, almost brushing mine. Because I didn't want to regret not knowing, she said. Even if it's a mistake. Does it feel like one? She looked up then, and her eyes were impossibly bare. No, she whispered. It feels like everything I've told myself I can't have anymore. I slid my hand along her waist, slow, deliberate, until my palm rested against the small of her back. She closed her eyes. Didn't move. The tip of my nose brushed hers. You think I don't see you, I said softly. But I see everything. She leaned into me, just slightly, not enough to collapse, but enough to almost. I whispered against her hair. The way you cross your arms when you're nervous. How your voice drops when you talk about your daughter. That crease between your brows when you're pretending not to care. I pulled back just enough to see her face. You make me want to stay, I said. Even when you keep telling me to leave. Her lips parted, like she wanted to speak, but nothing came out. So I waited. She reached up slowly, brushing her fingertips along my jaw. I don't know how to do this, she said. Not with someone who sees me this clearly. Then let me show you. I murmured. Let me learn with you. The moment held. Tension pulled tight between us, like a single breath could snap it. Then she stepped back. Only half a step, but it felt like a mile. I need you to know what this means, she said, voice quiet but firm. If we do this, there's no hiding. No half measures. No pretending this isn't real just because it scares us. I nodded. My throat felt tight. I don't want half of you. Her lip trembled. She bit it. I want you to choose this, she said. Not because I'm older or it's exciting or forbidden. I want you to choose me, the woman who flinches when she's vulnerable, who keeps secrets out of fear, who's flawed and tired and still learning how to want again. I stepped forward. No more space now. My forehead rested against hers. My hand cupped her cheek. I already did. Her eyes closed. And this time, when we kissed, it wasn't rushed or stolen. It was slow. Certain. The kind of kiss that answers everything. The room felt too small. Or maybe we were just too close. The kiss still lingered between us, not just on my lips but in every inch of air. Her fingers were still clenched in my shirt, like she hadn't decided whether to hold on or push me away. Outside, rain tapped softly against the windowpane. Slow. Constant. Like time was stalling just long enough for us to ruin or save something. I shouldn't have done that, she whispered. But her hands didn't move. And neither did I. Then why did you? Her breath hitched. I felt it, not heard it, the way her chest rose, shallow and quick, almost brushing mine. Because I didn't want to regret not knowing, she said. Even if it's a mistake. Does it feel like one? She looked up then, and her eyes were impossibly bare. No, she whispered. It feels like everything I've told myself I can't have anymore. I slid my hand along her waist, slow, deliberate, until my palm rested against the small of her back. She closed her eyes. Didn't move. The tip of my nose brushed hers. You think I don't see you? I said softly. But I see everything. She leaned into me, just slightly, not enough to collapse, but enough to almost. I whispered against her hair. The way you cross your arms when you're nervous. How your voice drops when you talk about your daughter. That crease between your brows when you're pretending not to care. I pulled back just enough to see her face. You make me want to stay, I said. Even when you keep telling me to leave. Her lips parted, like she wanted to speak, but nothing came out. So I waited. She reached up slowly, brushing her fingertips along my jaw. I don't know how to do this, she said. Not with someone who sees me this clearly. Then let me show you, I murmured. Let me learn with you. The moment held. Tension pulled tight between us, like a single breath could snap it. Then she stepped back. Only half a step, but it felt like a mile. I need you to know what this means, she said, voice quiet but firm. If we do this, there's no hiding. No half measures. No pretending this isn't real just because it scares us. I nodded. My throat felt tight. I don't want half of you. Her lip trembled. She bit it. I want you to choose this, she said. Not because I'm older or it's exciting or forbidden. I want you to choose me, the woman who flinches when she's vulnerable, who keeps secrets out of fear, who's flawed and tired and still learning how to want again. I stepped forward, no more space now. My forehead rested against hers. My hand cupped her cheek. I already did. Her eyes closed. And this time, when we kissed, it wasn't rushed or stolen. It was slow. Certain. The kind of kiss that answers everything. We didn't rush out of the room after that kiss. We didn't even move. We just stood there, forehead to forehead, breathing each other in like we'd finally arrived somewhere we didn't think we were allowed to be. She was the first to pull back, barely, her hand still on my chest, her eyes softer than I'd ever seen them. I thought I was supposed to know better, she said. You do, I replied. But maybe this isn't about knowing. She smiled at that, small, tired reel. Then she reached down and took my hand. Not like a declaration. Not like a promise. Just as if she wanted to know what it felt like to stop pretending she didn't want to. We walked through the quiet arts center together, after hours. She didn't pull away when I held her hand in the hallway, even when we passed the receptionist's desk, even when a janitor looked up from his mop and blinked at the sight of us. She just kept walking. And so did I. Outside, the rain had stopped, but everything still shimmered with the memory of it, the pavement damp, the air thick with that cool, earthy smell. We stood beneath the awning of the front door. Neither of us moving toward the parking lot just yet. I used to worry what people would think, she said quietly, fingers still laced with mine. The whispers. The assumptions. I told myself it wasn't fair to you. It's not about fair, I said. It's about real. She turned to face me then, brushing a damp curl from her forehead. I don't want to be your escape, she said. Or your phase. I cupped her cheek, my thumb tracing the line of her jaw. You're not. There was nothing dramatic about the moment. No swelling music, no grand speeches. Just two people, one who had stopped believing she could be wanted, and one who couldn't stop wanting her. She leaned into me, resting her head on my shoulder. And I wrapped both arms around her, feeling her exhale, not heavy, not sad, but as if something tight inside her had finally let go. We didn't talk about the future right then. We didn't need to. We sat in my car for a while, fingers still intertwined on the console, her head against the seat, our laughter quiet and rare and a little stunned. She kissed my knuckles once, absently. I kissed her forehead in return. She looked up and smiled. This still scares me. Me too, I said. That's how I know it matters. And then, we drove off together. Not fast. But in the same direction.